What's cracking, motherfuckers? We are back after a 2-week layoff. Brandon Russell, 2 weeks ago, was Iowa State's home opener for the men's basketball team. I said, go ahead, go to the game. Last week, he's out of the country. This week, he's out of town. So busy man. But the show goes on. We got Tyson Dolan joining today, and we're going to talk some NFL football. Tyson and I were hanging out this weekend, actually, Saturday night, watched the UFC fights at the fucking Diamond Joe. And then Friday night, it seems like everyone's talking about it. The fucking Mike Tyson fight. What were your thoughts on that, real quick, before we get into the NFL games? Seems like everyone that's all I could talk about right now.
Well, first of all, thanks to Brandon for being gone because I love to be on your show. Not here to take any or anything, but we're gonna have a good time. Yeah, the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fights. I think a lot of people were thinking they were going to tune in to Netflix on Friday night and watch Iron Mike knock out the kid. That wasn't the case.
No.
A lot of people think it was rigged. A lot of people like me think, Father Time is undefeated for a reason. I don't know. Mike didn't look good. He looked slow. He looked good for about 45 seconds of the fight. And then just kind of backed off a little bit. He's doing a lot of biting his glove, whatever that was.
Yeah.
I don't know. Mike looked old. He really did look old, but proud of him for hopping in there because that's something a lot of 58-year-olds couldn't do.
For sure. I think, like you said, a lot of people tuned in, and I think if they thought it was going to happen, they were delusional, because I didn't think there was for a second that Mike Tyson was going to win that fight.
Yeah.
I mean, Mike Tyson wasn't at his peak fighting. He was at his peak like 25 years ago, and I think he's going to hop into the ring at 58. He almost died this summer. I was not buying it. And hindsight's always 2020, but I think, honestly, Jake Paul moneyline was the bet of the year in any sport. I wish I would have put a little bit more on that. That was my big takeaway. Other than Netflix sucking too. Netflix shit their pants, and they're supposed to do Christmas games this year for the NFL. We'll see if that even fucking works, because talk about an all-time show job. Netflix couldn't even get the streams going for half the people. Those who did get to listen, the commentary was awful. They had Rosie Perez announcing it. I don't know what the fuck they had her out there for. Then Roy Jones Jr. is somehow worse than her. He was terrible.
Right.
They're fucking arguing about, you talk about biting the glove. They're arguing about like what he was doing with his glove.
Yeah.
Roy Jones Jr. is like, I think he's hurt. And they're like, no, he just does that. I've seen him do it before. It was a shit show, in my opinion.
Yeah, we talked about that. That was one of the highlights of the fights. Like you said, if you got to watch it. Yeah. Some people just, didn't even get to watch it. So, like you said, with the NFL planning to have some games on there, they better take a look at that, better get that figured out, because that was a disaster. Yeah.
Totally. I figured we'd start with that because, honestly, that kind of, even a full NFL weekend, full college football weekend, that was like kind of what commanded the headlines. Even still today, people were talking about it. So that we touch on that. Good cultural moment for sure. Even if it was kind of a shit show, a shitty fight, shitty broadcast. But it was still, they did what they did. Mike Tyson, Jake Paul made a bag, and we're talking about it. We're sitting here talking about it. So they got what they wanted out of it. So shout out to those two people. They actually got a win. Tyson and Jake Paul.
I thought it was pretty cool how the co-main event, obviously it really isn't a co-main event with Mike Tyson's fighting, but before they fought right before him, they got to showcase, Katie Taylor, and I forget her name, but the woman that she was boxing. It was pretty cool for them to be able to fight in front of 70,000, 80,000 fans. Something, that's a once in a lifetime opportunity. So super cool. You can hate Jake Paul as much as you want to, he's a dick, he's a pussy, whatever. But pretty cool that he did that for all the people on that card. So
right. Let's get into some of the NFL games yesterday. I'll just go ahead and talk about it because I'm having a great day. We'll open up with the Colts win over the Jets yesterday. That's what I got in my slogan this week. AR, greater than AR. Anthony Richardson yesterday outplayed Aaron Rodgers from start to finish. The Jets actually were like, I think they didn't get a first down in their first 5 possessions of the game. They started off super slow.
Oh, yeah, I have their drive here. Their first 6 drives actually of the game were a punt, 7-yard drive resulted in a punt, 1-yard drive resulted in a punt, 1-yard drive resulted in a punt, 9-yard drive, they turned it over on downs, and then finally another 9-yard drive that resulted in a punt. So not how you want to start a ball game at all. Oh, we good? Am I losing you? There you are.
All right, we're back up. Fucking, I'm on it. Wi-Fi. Don't recommend buying it. Might be switching tomorrow. MediaCom. So the internet went out there randomly here in the apartment. But I'm glad we're back here. Forget where we were at. We're talking about Jets, Colts still. My main takeaway was Anthony Richardson. Like I said, outplayed Aaron Rodgers, and the Jets season is over. I mean, I was already on life alert, but it felt good to end their season once and for all. 3-8, they're out of it. They're done. Probably already were last week after losing a big win against the Texans and then follow up and lose against the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Not good for them. Not good for Jets Nation.
No, not at all. Like you said, their season's over. Probably was after last week. What, another week? The Jets coming into a game where it seems like they have to have it. Even if their season's over, as long as Aaron Rodgers is playing, it feels like they have to win games. And they didn't do it against a Colts team. Happy, like you said, for Anthony Richardson coming back, had a great game. But yeah, another game where you just like they're just poking the Jets. Like, are they going to wake up, do something? Another letdown game, and like you said, looks like their season's over with.
Yeah. And then even forget about their offense. Even the defense kind of choked down the stretch there. 2 touchdowns for us in the final 2 minutes. Anthony Richardson with the game winner runs it in. It was a big day yesterday. Even if the Jets are dog shit, it feels good to get back in the win column. Anthony Richardson honestly might have played his best game, I think, since he's been here. I mean, he either looks like Jamarcus Russell or he looks like Lamar Jackson. Yesterday we got Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, 10 carries for 32 yards, ran when he had to, not for fun or not because he wasn't looking to be a passer. Yeah, I agree with you. Really good win for the Colts yesterday. Really good for Anthony Richardson's development and him as the Colts franchise guy moving forward.
Yeah, and let's go on to another new game that was going on. Green Bay 2019, and the Bears just find new ways to blow things. They just find new lows as an organization, and they played well yesterday. They played pretty well. The offense looked a lot better, at least. Caleb Williams looked a lot better, but when it's all said and done, it's the Packers fucking walking away with another win over the Bears. Aaron Rodgers said it years ago. They fucking own them. And even when the Bears play well and do everything that they can to win, I thought Caleb Williams outplayed Jordan Love this week. They still blow it. So big win for the Packers, even if they played like shit. I don't know where you go from here as a Bears fan.
Yeah, it sucks, and I mean, it's just another week that the Bears got out coached, right? Got out executed. Like, it just seems to happen to these guys like every week. And you feel bad for Caleb Williams because, obviously, I mean, he brings a lot of it on himself, but he put the Bears in a position to win that game yesterday. And they get out coached again. They get out schemed. They get, it's the X's and O's. It's not, I don't think it's the players' fault necessarily. It's just, you got to put your guys in position to win. You did, and then you still get out coached. So it's just tough luck for Chicago's coaching staff.
Yeah, and even at the end there, they had a chance to run a couple more plays, get a little closer, and he just ran the clock all the way down. So we're kicking it from 46. I mean, I don't know if it changes much, but I mean, if you get a couple more yards, there's a possibility that kick doesn't get blocked. Who knows? But he just settled for that.
Yeah, the farther away you are, the more you have to drive to kick, right? So you get closer, you can shoot it up in the air. So yeah, like you said, might not make a difference, but you never know. It might have.
So, I mean, the Bears, what's your stance on that? They're still kind of in the middle of things, but are they a playoff team? Are they frauds?
I don't know. It was promising to see yesterday, but the Bears we haven't seen that team in 3 or 4 weeks, so it's a big rivalry game, and that might have been the kill shot on their season, just not that they're necessarily out of the playoff run, but that's gotta do a lot to you mentally. I don't know that they have the coaching staff and the players that can rebound from that and come up with the run down the stretch. So it might be over for him. It's tough with a rookie quarterback too. It's his first time doing all this stuff, and I can't talk about it really because I've never been there. But it's got to be a lot. You have the weight of a whole city on your shoulders, and it's just tough after you put your team in position and then they blow it. So I don't know. I think you got to keep trying to win games because you're a win now team pretty much. You've done everything you could for Anthony Richardson to succeed. They've completely built around him. we've talked about too them shipping Justin Fields out the door. How much different would their season look if he was their quarterback? But it is what it is. So I think you got to go out and try to win as many games as you can and rebound and get ready for a good season next year.
Yeah, the Bears' schedule the rest of the way is fucking tough. Like they had a couple gimmies they blew. They had the Cardinals game, they had the Patriots they lost to, then they blow this one. They play the Vikings twice still. They play the Lions twice still. They play the Niners on the road. They play Seattle, who on a Thursday night game, who's had a big one yesterday, and then they play Green Bay to close the season on the road. So Vikings twice, Lions twice, Green Bay on the road, San Francisco on the road, and then Seattle at home. They got a fucking tough schedule, dude. They could finish like 6 wins, maybe 5-6 wins.
Yeah, that's brutal. That's a tough schedule. Holy shit. Yeah, they got to go back to Green Bay. The Lions twice, who doesn't seem like anybody can stop. Even if Jared Goff throws 5 interceptions,
right,
they still win the game. How are you going to beat them? I don't know. Yeah, that's tough for the Bears.
And then Green Bay moves to 7-3 with the win. They lost to the Lions 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago. They had a bye week 2 weeks ago. But before that, they rattled off 4 wins in a row. What's your kind of stance on them and kind of how the NFC North looks?
I don't know. I think it's obviously the Lions to lose. The Vikings, you would have liked to see them have a little more impressive of a week this week. They got the job done, but that offense hasn't really gotten back to its beginning of the season form yet. I don't know. I think it's obviously the Lions to lose, and I think they'll probably have 3 playoff teams out of that division. So really strong, probably the strongest division in the NFC. Like, we both really don't think much of the NFC. As you can tell, as the Seahawks go into Santa Clara and beat the Niners. But yeah, NFC is definitely one of the toughest divisions in football. Probably expect one of those teams to make a pretty deep playoff run. So
it might be the best division in football. I mean, the AFC North's always good. The Browns are bad this year. The AFC West is pretty good, but you can make a case that the NFC North is the best division in football, period. And like I said, we're both on high on the NFC overall, but I do respect what's going on in the NFC North.
Yeah, they got a lot of really good teams, a lot of really, like sort of the grassroots of the NFL up there. Like that's like those are the teams you think of. Like those are the rivalries. So it's good that those teams are good because football's better when those teams are good, whether you're a fan or not. It just is. So.
Yeah, so that was the big game of the NFC there in the noon slate, Green Bay and Chicago. Big game over in the AFC in the noon slate, of course, was AFC North title, or AFC North showdown. So you had both North putting on a show, NFC North, and then the AFC North. So it was Pittsburgh coming away with a hard-fought win, 18-16 over the Ravens. They continued to own the Ravens a little bit. I think they're like 8-1 the last 9 or something like that. They've been kicking their ass. Chris Boswell, 6 field goals yesterday. He made it 7th today, I heard too. He was the main winner for the Steelers. And the Ravens defense, I mean, you hold the Steelers to 6 field goals, you think you should be able to get the job done. But the offense was not there. Lamar Jackson, I mean, Russell Wilson didn't necessarily have a great game by any stretch. Lamar Jackson played even worse than him, completed less than 50% of his passes, had a brutal pick. Only Derrick Henry only got 13 carries, which I thought was a little odd. It was just not a well-coached game, I thought, for the Ravens. And I think, Mike Tomlin, people were kind of shitting on him like about a year or 2 ago. People wanted him to step down and said he lost his touch. He's going to get the laugh in all this. He said that, I forget when it was last year. He's like, there's a reason I get paid the way I do. And this is why. This is a hard-fought win. Only a win like fucking Mike Tomlin would it's like a Mike Tomlin type of win is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, for sure. One of those, AFC North rivalries. One of the best in the NFL was, they're going to be hitting hard. It's going to be just a ground and pound game. You knew, with that spread being like a 3.5, you figure Baltimore could probably beat them by a touchdown. Baltimore's they're probably the team to beat right now in the AFC. But you just almost had to take the Steelers because just of that rivalry and the defense, and that's exactly what we got. Tucker continues to struggle for the Ravens. I mean, if he makes his kicks, they likely win the game, but he doesn't. He misses, I think, 3 of 4 field goals in the first half, or 2 of 3, or something like that. Yeah, big misses for them, and they were 51 and 52 or something like that, but those are makeable kicks for them. Yeah, it just seems like it's just a completely different team, a completely different offense. Whenever they're going up against the Steelers, for some reason, Lamar now 1-5 against the Steelers in his career.
Yeah, man, they have fucking owned the Ravens as of late. But I'm kind of looking at that though, and I still feel like the Ravens have yet to play like their truly best football yet. I think they can bounce back, and I'd
Oh
like them next week to get a win over the Chargers, and then
yeah,
maybe beat the Eagles, and then head into your bye week. I think the Ravens. I want to take. I saw their +160 to win the North, win the AFC North. I think we can still get it done. I kind of want to put some money on that.
yeah, because then the Pittsburgh has to come back and play in Baltimore yet. So
Right.
yeah, I think that's pretty good odds. I think they could get it done, but I don't know. You figure, well, I wonder who the Steelers have left to play, because they're probably. I mean, the other two teams are. I mean, they'll probably beat the Bengals at least once. They'll split with the Bengals. Then I believe the Ravens already split with the Bengals, right? So, or no, they swept them. They swept the Bengals. So
That's
yeah,
right.
I definitely think Baltimore could win the North, and they probably should.
Yeah, the Steelers still have Cincinnati twice. I think they can split one of those. They play the Eagles on the road, which could be a tough one. They do host the Chiefs, and the Chiefs they play the Chiefs the second to last game of the season.
Hmm.
And then the Ravens have fucking a game with Cleveland still, I believe. And then they have the Giants, which should be a win. And then, like you said, they host the Steelers. I think they win at home. I don't know. I just like those odds. I saw that +160 today. I'm gonna put some money down on that. I think
Yeah,
that's my take is the Ravens will win the AFC North today.
yeah, you
But
get about money up. Why not?
looked like shit yesterday. Lamar Jackson needs to pick it up. These are games that he needs to perform in, and he was not there at all. Like you said, Justin Tucker too is starting to get a little bit older. Mark Andrews getting a little older for that team. And they have some tweaks if they want to win a Super Bowl here. They got to tweak some things.
Yeah, I think they're also pretty good value right now if you wanted to bet them on Super Bowl winners. That's plus 800, 8-1. I mean, I think they're better than that. I think they're up. That's like a +4 to +300 range, not plus 800, 8-1. The Ravens, they're probably the best offense in the NFL numbers wise, outside of the Lions, maybe. I mean, that defense can turn it on anytime, but I think it all comes down to the Ravens for, can Lamar Jackson get it done in the playoffs? Can he win that big game? The regular season stuff is awesome, and he's a great player. But a lot of people don't like the word legacy, but that's what it comes down to, is legacy in the NFL. And is he going to be known as the guy who won all the regular season awards, or can he get a Super Bowl for that team like he promised on draft night? So it'll be interesting to see. They got to do it now if they're going to do it. I mean, it's one of the best teams they're going to have. So it'll be interesting.
All right, let's move into the 3 o'clock slate. You wanted to leave with the Broncos. You got a little bit on the Broncos. Let's talk on that one. The ass kicking of the Falcons yesterday, 38-6.
Yeah, the Broncos, coming off of that loss to the Chiefs, where they probably should have won the game, but like the Bears got their kick blocked. Devastating loss. They're coming back home against a Falcons team who's looking pretty good. They're kind of inconsistent, but they've been beating some pretty good teams. So yeah, and they just completely roll. It seems like the Broncos could have it any way they wanted to. There wasn't really much resistance there for the Falcons. Bo Nix, a lot of people, if you're a Bo Lever or not, I'm interested to see how he does. Came out yesterday, 28 for 33, 307 yards, 4 touchdowns. He looked great yesterday. Their young weapons look great. Like I said, they could get it, wherever they wanted to. Holding the Broncos to 6 points. I think a lot of that's just because, or not the Broncos, sorry, holding the Falcons to 6 points. I think a lot of that, like in the second half, they had drives where they're, deep in Broncos territory, and they got to go for it because they're down 4 touchdowns, and the Broncos turned them away. So it's a good test for a young Broncos team. They can get home with 4, rushing the passer with 4 guys. That's huge in the NFL. Helps out your defense so much with Benito, and I forget who's on the other side. But they win they should have over Kansas City. I started to think about this team sitting at 6-4. A win they should have had over Kansas City, so they get to welcome them. I think they beat they beat the Chiefs twice last year or split with them. So I think that's the game they can get back at home. But yeah, you got to start talking about this team as a playoff team. I think Bo Nix is playing better and maturing as a quarterback. A lot of people didn't think he could do. That defense is playing well, so I think the Broncos are going to be a playoff team. I think they can win enough games down the stretch with Sean Payton. You like him or you hate him, but he's a good football coach. So yeah, I think the Broncos moving forward are a team to look out for in the AFC playoff picture for sure.
Yeah, the first year with Sean Payton did not go well for Broncos Nation. I think a lot of people were skeptical about where they were headed. I think a lot of people were skeptical about Bo Nix, but he, like you said, is starting to come on. I mean, the way he played yesterday, like forget like rookie of the year, like he was playing like a fucking MVP yesterday. Honestly, one of the best quarterback performances I think I saw from anyone yesterday.
Yeah. Outside of Goff, he was definitely up there.
Right.
Goff just conscious. It's just insane.
Goff had quite the turnaround from 2 weeks ago to last week.
Yeah.
Lamar kind of struggling a little bit. I mean, people are going to think, and I know he turned it on yesterday. People are still going to remember that 5-pick game from Jared Goff. I know they got the win, but both those guys were like trying to solidify their MVP cases. And then, I don't know, it's kind of a little bit more open after this last couple of weeks, I'd say.
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely going to come down to Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and however those teams end up. I think it's probably like whoever comes out with the highest playoff seed is probably the MVP.
Right.
Between, I mean, you can't give it to Mahomes because obviously they lost, but their defense is one of the best in the NFL, and you gotta be the guy, right? And Mahomes is the guy. He's always going to be the guy. He's always going to give him a chance. Yesterday he didn't, and two guys. That, and like we talked about, Lamar, they're probably going to end up winning the North. They should. They might not, who knows, but they should. And Josh Allen, now they're a game back, the first place in the AFC with the Chiefs. So, yeah, big one for them. Yeah.
Yeah, and we can get into that game too. Also at the 3 o'clock slate. Probably the game of the day, even more so than that football. Just everyone was looking forward to that rematch, and it was the Bills fucking knocking off the Chiefs. First loss this season, 9-1 now for the Chiefs. I mean, I don't know about you, but I felt like their time was coming. I mean, felt like a cat with 9 lives. They finally ran into a good team, and their flaws were exposed by Buffalo. I know it's still a regular season game, but it doesn't make up for the playoff games over the past couple of years, but it was a big win for Bills Nation. I'm glad for them. I think they needed that one. And even if they do act like it was the Super Bowl, it is a big win in terms of like putting them kind of in the driver's seat for the AFC. I mean, that one could help them determine, where the AFC runs through in the playoffs. I think that's a huge win for them. And they look fucking damn good. It wasn't really ever a moment where I thought the Chiefs were going to pull that thing off. And Josh Allen didn't play his best. I mean, he did have a bad pick there, but 260 yards, 50 yards on the ground. I mean, he was slinging it. It was a classic Josh Allen game. That's what you're going to get out of him. Some of those receivers kind of came alive. Amari Cooper only had a couple catches, but they were big catches. Curtis Samuel got off to a great start, had a touchdown. And then Khalil Shakur had 8 catches for 70 yards. I mean, they looked like perhaps one of the best teams, not only in the AFC, but in the NFL in general yesterday. Bills did.
Yeah, absolutely. 7 different receivers catching balls yesterday for the Bills. 6 players caught 2 or more balls. Josh Allen's kind of proven it doesn't matter whoever you put around him. He's going to get the ball to him, and he's going to get the ball where it needs to be, and he's going to make plays. I think the biggest thing yesterday was that the Bills played to beat the Chiefs yesterday. They didn't play to try to they put the game away with their best unit on the field is what they did. And that 4th and 2 that they had late in the game with like 2 minutes, 20 seconds left or something, a lot of teams there are going to kick that field goal and make the Chiefs go score a touchdown. And what happens a lot of the time is Mahomes goes and does that. And the Chiefs said, no, we're going to put our best player, our MVP candidate on the field, leave him out there. He's going to go get his first down. He ended up scoring a touchdown. Game was over. Mahomes threw a pick on the next drive. But, yeah, that's how you got to play the Chiefs. You have to beat them. You have to beat them. They make you beat them. And, yeah, if you have a good enough team to do it and a good enough coaching staff, this is what happens. So, yeah, good for the Bills. Really good for the Bills.
And there were some dumb fucks who genuinely thought, like dumb fuck Chiefs fans, who thought they could finish the regular season undefeated. I just knew there was no way that was happening. This was bound to happen. I'm glad it happened. I think they were finally exposed to what they are. Take a look at their schedule down the rest of the way. They have a couple cupcakes in there. They have the Panthers and Raiders, but what also could be like classic letdown spots. They have the Chargers, Texans, Steelers on the road, Broncos on the road to close the season. They could finish with 3 or 4 losses, possibly 2 or 3, 3 or 4, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. I heard. Yeah, we just talked about that. Like the Steelers got to bring the Chiefs into town, but yeah, that could be a tough game for them. Same type of environment, little different kind of team. You know, the Steelers more rely on their defense more, but yeah, it's very, very possible they end with 3 or 4 losses there.
It would be funny to see them like start 9-0 and then finish like 12-5.
Yeah, that could happen. It really could, though. I mean, because we talked about too, how the AFC West is one of the best divisions in football. I mean, they got to play the Broncos again. They got to play the Chargers again. Raiders, they kind of suck, but the Raiders beat them last year, like 1 or 2 years ago in the playoffs.
Yep.
So, no, not in the playoffs, but
it was like Christmas or Thanksgiving or something.
Yeah, holiday game or whatever. Yeah. So
I think they could lose either to the Ravens or the Panthers.
Who'd you say?
Or the Panthers.
You think so?
I think they drop a shitty game like that. They play the Browns too. I think one of those two teams will be strong.
Yeah. God, it's just tough. The Panthers are so bad, but I don't know. Any given Sunday, that's why they say it, I guess. So.
Let's get into last night's Sunday Night Football game. We're treated an absolute gift of a game. It was all Chargers in the first half. At halftime, I think it was 24-6 at halftime. Then it's Cincinnati's show, especially in that third quarter. They go on a tear in the third quarter. They get back into it. They had every opportunity to win the game, and they kind of fucking did what the Chargers have been known to do, and that's melt down at the end of the game. It looked like the Chargers were going to be the ones to collapse. Evan McPherson misses 2 fucking field goals in the fourth quarter. And now the Bengals down to 4-7. They might be out of it. They might be out of things. They kind of had to win out, if not lose only once. They have to win the rest of the games if they could get it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's anybody that can do it. It seems like it's always the Bengals that do. But like this year, it just kind of feels different. Like you can't lose that game last night. You got to win it, especially when you come back. Like I was watching the game with my wife or whatever, and she's like, well, at least they came back. And I said, well, you got to win that game. I mean, like, sure, you came back, but there's no moral victories in the NFL. You have to win that game. So yeah. And then did you see what Burrow said when they asked him, what'd you say to McPherson after the game? He's like, nothing. He goes, I didn't say anything to him. And they asked Jamar, and he was like, Jamar was like, I didn't say nothing to him, but he's like, he knows he's got to make those kicks. That's why we paid him all that money. Like, yeah, it's true. So it's kind of harsh, but it's true. Everybody else has to do their job, and he didn't. So
right. And he's usually, I mean, I don't know. He's had some solid moments for them. He's had some not so solid moments for them. Yeah,
he's actually made. You got to give him some credit. He's made a lot of huge kicks for the Bengals. I mean, I remember to send him to the Super Bowl, he made the kick. A couple other big ones against the Chiefs, but yeah, he's typically been really clutch for him. That's why he got paid. But yeah, he hasn't been very good this year. So
no, and then also I believe it was Jamar Chase. They asked him about how things went, and he kind of took a little dig at Zach Taylor. He's like, I had the one calling the plays. That ain't me.
Yeah.
He was the one calling the plays on the stretch. So I don't know. I think a lot of people are pissed at Zach Taylor. I don't know how good he is. I think he might be kind of a fraud.
Yeah, I could see it. Did you see it when it would come down to a game or a play that would like decide the game or whatever. Like McPherson missed a field goal and they panned to Zach Taylor, and he's just sitting there like he's fucking doing meth or something.
Yeah.
Like he's so jacked up.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like these moments are like too big for him or something. Like he's just like losing his mind. It's like, dude, just settle down. Like you're the leader of that team, you know? So it kind of rubs off on the guys, and I don't know. You get nights like last night. They should have won it. The Bengals should have won the game.
For sure. And he, like, we were talking about it a little bit, like, he refuses to run the ball on short yardage. It's like 2nd and 2, there's a passing downs.
1st and goal from the 2, and they throw it 3 times. Well, I don't even think they scored on it. They threw it 4 times and didn't get it.
Yeah. And he finally kind of figured out a little bit in the second half. They're mixing a little bit more, but it's kind of too little too late. I mean, Joe Burrow threw the ball 50 times yesterday. I don't think he necessarily had to do that.
That's kind of been the story though of Bengals games, right? Is if they don't get it going early in the first half, they usually lose those games. I think they got outscored about 7-3 or 14-3 or something in the first quarter yesterday, and another game they lost. Like just like their seasons and their games, they start slow and then have to get the win by the skin of their teeth, and it's not always going to work out for you. So. Yeah, I agree with you. I think Zach Taylor's a fraud as well.
Yeah, I mean, people were like calling for Mike Tomlin job a year or two ago. It's like, no, you're delusional. But this guy, I don't know. He's still young enough in his career where I don't know. I have not sold on if he's good. I know he got into that Super Bowl. They always have that year, but things have not really been great since then. And now you got a couple guys like on contract years. Like, can you afford to pay them? Do you want to pay them? I don't know. And then they have Khalil Herbert as a backup running back, who's a pretty solid back. He didn't get any carries last night. Chase Brown was the only running back who got any carries last night. I mean, it's weird. It's a weird design. They're throwing the ball 50 times. They don't really have to. And Chase Brown, I mean, he averaged 4 yards a carry, 22 carries, 86 yards. I mean, it's not terrible stats. I don't know. I thought it was weird. He's the only guy who got a carry. And they're throwing the ball 50 times a game where it's like maybe like try to control the tempo of this thing, keep your defense off the field. They're your weakest link. But no, not Zach Taylor. He wants to throw it every down.
Yeah, I guess. And I don't know, their defense was pretty bad in the first half too, but like in that second half, they're stepped up huge for him, you know. And it's Zach Taylor is the offense, he calls the plays, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It comes down to him, you know, and they got to execute. Like even like if sure you throw it 3 times at the goal line and kick the field goal, take the points. This is the NFL, right? Like a field goal, points are good. If they had those points, they win the game. So I mean, most likely, it obviously looks a lot different down the stretch there, but they probably win the game there if they kick that field goal. And I know you got to go for it because you're down. They were down almost 3 scores, but yeah, take the points. You have a half like you did in the second half, and it's a lot different looking game. So, yeah, he's a fraud. Let's call him a fraud. He's on the fraud list.
I think he is. I think he's on the fraud list.
Yep.
All right, before we get to the Monday night game, we're going to give out our awards of the week. We got Stat of the week, and then we'll each give out a game ball. Let's go first. Stevie.
My ass hat of the week is Kyle Shanahan. You can't let the Seahawks come in and beat you at home. The Seahawks are not a good fucking team at all. I mean, they're okay, but they've lost a lot of bad games. Geno Smith is talk about frauds. Geno Smith is a fucking fraud. And no, I don't know, but it seems like he always has the Seahawks with the ball to win a game somehow. Yeah. Like I don't know how he does it, but and then he did it yesterday. He beat the Seahawks or beat the Niners. The Niners get Christian McCaffrey back. I get they're still a little hurt on defense, but yeah, you gotta win that game. And now they're sitting last place in the NFC West, which is just shocking. They still have the 5th best odds to win the Super Bowl, however, over Green Bay and the Texans. The Niners are still plus 1,700. Yeah, Green Bay and the Texans sitting right behind them. That doesn't make any sense to me. How are they 5th in odds? The Steelers aren't even up there. The Steelers are beneath the Texans. The Steelers are farther than plus 2,000. That's it. Oh, wait. Yeah. No, yeah. It's true. Yeah, you have the Lions, Chiefs, Bills, Ravens, Eagles, Niners, Green Bay, and the Texans. And, yeah, it's a conversation for a different day. But, yeah, the Steelers should be above the 49ers as well as the Packers. I think the Packers, and we'll get into that matchup maybe. But next week the Niners go into Green Bay. They're -2. The Packers are a better team than the 49ers. The 49ers look really bad here. So yeah, ass-hat of the week, Kyle Shanahan. You got to win that game. Be better. Also remember the rules. Seems to not sometimes. So
yeah. Did you have a game ball? Do you want to give a game ball to anyone?
Yeah, I got to give a game ball to Chris Boswell. He was the MVP of the week, I think. Made all of his field goals. Came up clutch for him at home in a huge game. It takes everybody. That's kind of the Steelers thing. Everybody do your job, and they got that out of Boswell. He's been there for a long time for him, so I'm sure that felt good. And I'm sure he got a game ball after the game, too. I didn't even look or not. I'm sure he did because that's the kind of guy Mike Tomlin is, but Boswell had a performance for him. So, yeah, that's my game ball of the week.
Two great choices right there. Chris Boswell definitely deserving to have a game ball. And then Kyle Shanahan, like I said, ass-hat of the week. That's when you got to have. I mean, flat out. Maybe you win ugly, but you win that game. And it was Geno Smith pulling the upset yesterday, and now they're in the cellar in the NFC West, which is hilarious.
Really?
My ass-hat of the week, I've kind of been going back and forth here. I think I am going to go with Doug Peterson, though. Doug Peterson is somehow – I want to get these numbers right here. The Jaguars have lost – there's a stretch where the Jaguars have lost, I think, 8 games in a row going back to last season. They picked up 2 wins. I think they have 2 wins this year. At the start of the year, they lost like 5 or 6 in a row. And then they had lost like 4 or 5 in a row going back to last year to end the season. He had more losses in a row either way than fucking Urban Meyer did when he was there. Urban Meyer is one of the worst coaches in the history of the NFL. He somehow didn't have as long of a losing streak as Doug Peterson had. Lost like 8 or 9 in a row. And now they've lost 4 in a row. And he somehow walked into his office today and still had a job. They didn't get shit canned. So I'll give him my ass out of the week because he is just somehow worse than Urban Meyer is. But also a little bit of respect on top of that because he still somehow managed to have a job today after getting thrashed 52-6 to the league. So
yeah, 52-6. That's really tough luck. Really tough luck.
Really tough luck, and he still has
they were competitive last week with the Vikings. I think.
I know.
There was a penalty that lost that game for him. I think so. Yeah, you expect them to put up, like I said, poking the dead horse, like do something, move, and they just couldn't. Jags season's been over for a while, but you gotta pull out some wins there. So they're not doing it.
No, and you and I both know Mac Jones should not have got the start yesterday. Should have been backup C.J. Beathard.
C.J. Beathard is far and away a much better quarterback than Mac Jones in every single metric. So, doesn't really make much sense to leave him on the bench. An experienced veteran backup quarterback who can come in and knows how to win games. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, tough.
And then game ball, I'm going to give it to not a player. I'm giving it to a coach. I'm giving it to Rich Versace, the special teams coordinator for the Packers. Obviously, they went on a blocked field goal yesterday, and I guess he was telling all the players and all the coaches like the night before, he said, we will block an extra point or a field goal tomorrow. I know we will. We're going to do it. He was telling everybody. And they went out and fucking did it when it mattered more. So I'm giving the game ball to Rich Versace. Should have gotten the Raiders job a couple years ago. He was the interim out there, I think. Maybe when Gruden was out there, he took over for Gruden, I think, and got him to the playoffs. And they didn't give him the job.
Yeah.
Shit fire ever since then. So I'm giving him a game ball yesterday with the block kick over the Raiders. He fucking called it into a game.
That's awesome. Yeah, I did not know that. That's cool.
All right, so let's turn our attention to the Monday night game. That is our awards segment. 2 assets of the week, 2 game balls. Monday night football tonight, we got Houston coming into Jerry's World against the Cooper Rush-led Dallas Cowboys team, whose season looks like it's pretty much over. 3-6, they've lost 4 in a row, but they're kind of a general. Some people think they can hang in there tonight, and then also on the other end, Houston has lost, I believe, 2 in a row. Lost a close one last week. I think Sunday Night Football against the Lions, and then lost to the Jets fucking 2 weeks ago, which is surprising to say out loud now. So they're coming in on a 2-game skid. I think they lost to the Packers in a close game. I think they lost 3 out of 4. I think the only win in the last 4 games was a Colts win. And we even kind of tested them. So kind of people are wondering, are they legit? They have some questions for Tuesday night. The line is Houston -7 on the road. I don't know. We're taking a look at the money. I know you like to. I know that you always keep in mind the Vegas splits before each game. Dallas not getting a lot of love tonight, so the trendy pick is Houston -7. But honestly, you and I both know Vegas has kind of been getting their ass kicked last last month. I mean, it's been public feast. So you know, I kind of talked about it before. Maybe Houston rolls with it tonight. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know. Just the total is so low. It's just like that's such a big number for the Texans with the total being that low. It's just really weird. Yeah, I think it opened at 43.5 and it's down to like 41.5, 41 some places. But yeah, and I saw something about I got an ESPN notification about some ESPN bets thing, whatever. So I watched the video and everybody's all over the under and all the experts are saying the under. Yeah, it could be a situation where everybody's just wrong and the Texans blow them out, 42-10 or something like that. But I don't know. I just don't see it going that way. It just makes too much sense. Of course, like the Houston Texans are a 7-point favorite, like they should be, But something just about that low total and with this is a big number, like a touchdown. That's hard to cover when the total's that low. Also 83% of the money being with Houston, and it probably should be, but something just says Dallas is going to cover this game for me. Cooper Rush, he's obviously not a great quarterback, but he seems to come in for Dak. Like he's always come in for Dak, and the past seasons he's been injured and stuff, and won big games for him. Like this is a guy that can win games for him. I think. I don't know about against like a Texans team, and Houston, they got to have this one tonight. I mean, it's a game they have to win. I think I'm going to take Dallas plus the 7 though, and 7.5 at some places, just because of the low total, and I think it's going to be an ugly game. Like primetime dogs getting 7+ or 2-0, and I'm sure those have just been ugly games. I don't know if they've won outright or not, but yeah. So that's one of my bets. I guess we'll get into that. Dallas plus 7. With that total dropping so much, something just says it's just going to be kind of a I don't know, just one of those boring primetime games. I know you love primetime unders, but yeah, I could just see this being like a 20 to 17 game or 20 to 13 game, something like that. I'm going to take Stroud under 21.5 completions too. I think they're really going to try to get their run game going against a Cowboys defense that isn't great up front. I know they have Micah Parsons back, but I know they don't want to drop CJ Stroud back 40 times and let Micah go to work. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. I think the Cowboys are going to try to run the ball, try to, take some of the pressure off their offensive line and Cooper Rush and run it, slow the game down, keep the ball out of CJ Stroud's hands because, if you're a Dallas coach, you should know that probably the only chance you're going to have it winning is keeping CJ Stroud in that offense on the sidelines. So, yeah, I think the Cowboys are going to do a good job tonight of keeping the ball out of CJ's hands. It's going to be under 21.5 completions for CJ Stroud tonight, I think. And that's a number he hasn't hit in a few weeks. So, yeah, those are my 2 bets.
I like those. I'm with you where I think Dallas has what it takes to cover tonight. I don't think a lot of people are giving them any shot to cover. So I think they can put up kind of a fight at home. Cooper Rush, he got a big win for them. It might have been last season or 2 seasons ago in like a Sunday night game or a Monday night game. So he's been thrown in the fire before, and he looked awful. I think he looked awful last week, but he's won some games for them before in this spot. So I think they can cover. However, I think there's one thing they will not do, and I'm pretty sure on that is they will not win. So I am gonna go with the teaser, and this is how I like to bet sometimes. You can find a nice middle where like Dallas covers, but Houston wins. So I'm gonna go on the teaser. You can take the spread down to a pick 'em. You could take Houston -6, take it down to a pick 'em. They just have to win. So Houston money line is what you're getting. And then I'm going to tease the under up because I do like that under, even though it's low. But let's give ourselves another touchdown cushion. So then with that, you get a nice little teaser there under 48, under 47 because the over under is 41 and a half. Yeah, under 47 and a half. Let me double check. I plugged in already. Let me make sure I got it right.
Yeah.
What is my under at? I have the under 47. Okay. So you get Texas money line and then the under 47. I like that tonight as pick number 1 in the teaser. So that means we're playing in the middle. It's kind of disgusting, but it's a nice play where you're cheering on the Texans to win, but Dallas to cover. It's a fun game. I think it works out in our favor tonight. That's my first pick. And then also I'm going CeeDee Lamb anytime touchdown tonight. Because Cooper Rush is playing, all these Cowboys receivers, like odds to score a touchdown, have like gone up in value. So I think you can get CeeDee Lamb in a nice spot tonight. I got it on FanDuel at plus 265 anytime touchdown. I think that's nuts. That's usually a guy who sometimes is like less than like negative odds to score. It's like minus odds to score. Or it's like a very small like underdog, like plus odds to win. Plus 265 tonight. I love all that juice on that. I think those two connect down tonight.
What's Jake Ferguson at any time?
Let's check it out.
I kind of like Jake Ferguson because those backup quarterbacks that kind of come in and sometimes rely, like backups and rookies, they kind of rely on their tight end. I can see him running some play action or something at the goal line because they'll probably be hesitant to give it to Zeke again at the 5-yard line, but after last weekend. But yeah, I can see him finding Jake Ferguson down in the red zone sometime. Big red zone
plus 500.
I kind of like that.
Yeah,
might throw a few bucks on him.
And then like even though I know they don't get a ton of action, but even like some of the backups like Devontae Turpin's plus 1,300.
Yeah.
Jonathan Mingo plus 1,700.
Mingo, did he come over from the Panthers?
Yeah, they traded for him like a week or two ago.
Really?
Yeah, they traded like a 5th-round pick.
The Cowboys did.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It was hilarious.
Weird trade. About that.
Yeah. So those are our 4 picks tonight. We're taking Cowboys at the point. Teaser, old-fashioned teaser. You got Houston, Pick'em, and the under 48. And then I'm going to go with CeeDee Lamb, anytime touchdown. Like you said, keep an eye on Ferguson, anytime touchdown. Those receivers are getting great odds because you're playing with a backup quarterback. I think Cooper Rush throws a touchdown pass tonight. So I like that.
I can bet you could get value on that too, him throwing a touchdown. So
for sure.
All stuff to look at, folks.
Yeah. Let's do score predictions then. That means we got to get the score under 47. So I'm thinking like maybe like a 23-20 game, something like that. 24-20, Houston wins, but it's close, something like that.
I'm liking 23 to 17.
Okay.
I like that. I think, 23-17 I'll go with.
There you go. You get the Cowboys at +7, +7.5, depending on which book you're at. So you get them with a touchdown. I like that. I like that for sure.
I think it's gonna come down to who can make their kicks. 2 good field goal kickers in this game. There might be some value in them too at Fairbairn and what the fuck's his name?
Aubrey.
Yeah, Brandon Aubrey. Yeah, he's a good kicker. Can make it from about anywhere, unless of course most of the country's on Cowboys -7 or -5. Then he's gonna miss it. But you know what I'm talking about. But I like that. I like that 23. What did I say? 23-17.
Yeah.
Let's check back in. Maybe even lower. Maybe like a 20-15 or something. It's gonna be gross. It's just a gross game. It feels like.
I agree.
It's gonna come down to the last possession probably. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe not. Maybe we even get like a backdoor cover from Dallas or something. Just because Jerry Jones. I think the Cowboys are covering tonight. I think they are. Yeah.
I definitely think so.
He'll probably by 40, but whatever.
I think it's an ugly game. I think it's definitely an ugly game. The Texans have been playing ugly games.
Yep.
I mean, the Cowboys obviously every week's an ugly game for them. I think it screams under, and I think it does scream Texans cover.
Yeah.
I'm looking at some other props. I like to get some props in. I know we got an in-time touchdown, but some numbers. John Mechie only receiving total is only 17.5. I think John Mechie can get over that. I think he can get 20 receiving yards.
Yeah, he's been picking up targets too as the season goes on. So 17.5. I mean, that's a couple catches.
Mm-hmm.
He's a speedster too, so he breaks away. That could be one catch,
Yeah. I think he gets that. And then Houston's run game has been awful. And Rico Dowdle, I know they don't go to him a lot, but his over-under is 53.5 rushing yards. I think he can go over that.
Yeah, I like that. Because Zeke, I mean, after his fumble, so what's the dynamic like between those two? Like Zeke, I mean, I don't get it. It's just kind of confusing. It's not like really a back and forth. It's like it just kind of seems like they kind of throw Zeke out there when they feel like it. I mean, it's just weird.
It's super weird, and we've talked about it. Russell and I talked about it before on the show. They could have went out and gotten Derrick Henry this year. He lives in Dallas. He works out in Dallas. He wanted to be a Dallas Cowboy, and they didn't, for whatever reason, they didn't go get him. And now it looks like that guy could play another 6 fucking plus years out in Baltimore. I mean, he looks good for being a middle-aged back. And now you're stuck with Rico Dowdle, who's not very good, and then an aging Ezekiel Elliott. It's Jerry Jones, I think, did a shitty job with this team this year, building this team. And I mean, with a guy like Mike McCarthy, you got to make it easy on him as possible, and that's not what they did.
Yeah, and does Dak get hurt if Derrick Henry's running the ball behind him? If who knows? There's so much that can happen. Like I get right now that a running back isn't going to fix Dallas' situation, but it also might look a little different if you have Derrick Henry in the backfield. So
for sure. All right. Any final thoughts on tonight's game?
I don't think so. I think it's, like we talked about, just going to be a grinded out, just kind of a gross football game. A few turnovers, a lot of special teams scoring, but no, I don't think so. I think we nailed it.
I think so too. We're cheering for a close contested game, low scoring, and I think that all signs honestly do point to that. So let's cheer for just a safe football game tonight. Keep it close, low scoring, nothing too crazy, and let's hope that the Texans come away with a win, but it's not by too much. So I think we'll get that. All right. Thanks for having on tonight, buddy.
Hey, no problem. Anytime.
Yeah,
Brand,
absolutely.
Anytime.
Thanks to everyone who joined tonight. That is going to do it for Lame on the Line tonight. You get a little bit of a break before Monday Night Football. You get a half hour. Get those bets in tonight. Let's win some fucking money, and we'll be back next week. Hopefully, we'll see if Russell's back in or not. But the show continues. Good job, Tyson, tonight.